in unsurpassed, penetrating and perfect Dharma is very inadequate, even 100,000 million kalpas, having it to see and listen to remember and accept. I vow to taste the truth of the Tathagata's words in unsurpassed, penetrating, and perfect Dharma is rarely inadequate, even 100,000 million kalpas, having to see and listen to remember and accept. I vow to taste the truth of the Tathagata's words and surpass, penetrating, and perfect Dharma is very inadequate, even 100,000 million kalpas, having it to see and listen to remember and accept. I vow to taste the truth of the Tathagata's words. Good morning. So happy to see everyone. I've done talks like all my life, and every time I enter the room, I'm always like, there are people here. Like I don't expect anyone to show up. I got low self-esteem. So it's okay. This is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for coming and being here to listen to the Dharma, and I like to share with you today, and from my experience of practice, and that's how I share. Before we begin, I would like to just have a silent moment, for all that is going on in the world, to acknowledge it and recognize it. And without recognizing it, there's like no reason for me to come and talk with you and share with you. In this pause, I recognize that it's not our practice, my practice, your practice. It's a collective practice for everyone, no matter who they are, what they've done. It's for everyone. Pausing for the children and who have lost their lives, and others who have lost their lives in the unrest in the world. All over the world, places we don't even know. Think of your friends, your family, they're here with you because you're here. I see them. Thank you for coming. I felt very grateful over the last year or so, grateful for having a practice. Grateful that it was Zen, and I've had many practices. I'm grateful for Zen in particular. So I do want to thank my teacher, Shunbo Zenke Daisho, just passed. And everyone knows her as Blanche Hartman, which would unnerve her because she wanted to be called Shunbo. And it never worked. Everyone calls her Blanche. Yeah. But she told me one day, so in private, I want to be called Shunbo. So Shunbo, here I am, and I give thanks to you for bringing me in this way, this practice of Zen, and how it has helped me to live in this world since I've been in it. And I practice Nichiren too, which also helped me. So Nichiren Buddhism prepared me for Zen. Christianity prepared me for Nichiren. And actually Christianity also prepared me for the indigenous African and native practices I've been involved in. And so I always ask myself, how many transmissions do I need? I think I need a lot for my life, and I've been fortunately given a lot of transmissions to survive this life. And I hope you all have too, and maybe we can share that later in Q&A. So I have something I want to share from Blanche's book, Seeds for a Boundless Life, Zen Teachings from the Heart, Zenke Blanche Hartman. Now she's sitting there very nicely, hands folded in her robes, and she's very much a radical, very feisty, and my teacher. So, and I am actually her last heir. She had many heirs before me, many. And I think all the people she brought into teacherhood were feisty and had a lot to say, and so she just brought in herself. And I am grateful all the gems she has sewn into my robe, and she is here. And so this book was a bit of a miracle. I compiled her talks, so this is a book that I put together, and then she later took pictures with it. But she was pretty much on her deathbed, starting to die. And I began to, do this book, which I tried to do before she got there, but it was hard to do for her. So while she was passing, I began to do this book for her because I felt it was important. She was the first abbess of the San Francisco Zen Center, and that she should have her teachings here among all other teachings and teach with teachers. In writing it was, to me, the transmission, because she wasn't with me to write the book. I had to kind of do it on my own. So I would sit in my kitchen table and I would just listen to all the talks. I didn't translate them, I had them translated, but I would listen to them and listen to her talk. And all of a sudden, like I knew who she was, like I didn't know before. Like, wow. Did she ever tell me that? Like, wow, it was just so powerful. And she truly is a disciple of Suzuki Roshi. And in the old days, she's very old school, not old, but old school in terms of her thinking, in which students pretty much expound the teachings of their teacher. You see that in other traditions like Thich Nhat Hanh. And so she really did expound the teachings of Suzuki Roshi. So, but in relationship to her life and how she experienced it, and in relationship to her practice. So if you have some extra time and you want to know a little bit about how a disciple of Suzuki Roshi walked the path of Zen, this is a nice book. And you can read it whichever way you want, cover to cover. You can pop it open like I usually do. And because, of course, I've read every word a lot in terms of when I edited it. And I didn't expect to be the editor, but it came about. And I accepted it, hesitated, and then accepted it. Because I was also writing The Way of Tenderness at the same time. And that's that book some of you may know. And so these two books were being written at the same time, two different publishing houses. And I was starting to get confused of who was the editing team from where, because it was very confusing. The thing about this one, I wanted it done before she died. And she was already very weak and fragile. And I said, can this book come out in the spring of next year by then, or as fast as we can? And they said, sure. You have to write it in 30 days. I did. I produced it. I was at that kitchen table a lot, day and night. I produced the writings. I wanted her teachings that bad to be on the table. What is what she wanted. And at the same time, I was writing The Way of Tenderness, and pretty much both of our books kind of came out almost at the same time. Mine's a little ahead than hers. Came out, and I thought that was very apropos, because there is a follower of Suzuki Roshi's student. I'm following this student of his, and so it was very ancestral. I love Zen because it is an ancestral practice, or like practices in which before the teachings have been passed down. I think you can create other paths, and then maybe in 1,000 years, they will be solid, and people will be practicing it. So anyway, the quote I want to share from her book, to me, it's actually a Dogen Zenji quote, so not Suzuki Roshi. So she had many teachers. She loved Dogen Zenji, who was founder of Soto Zen, so of course he wasn't around when she was. Her other teacher was Kosho Uchiyama. She really loved him, and so a lot of her work comes from there. But this is a one that she loved, a quote from Dogen Zenji. And I think it's important for today, and we'll talk about it. To expound the Dharma with this body is foremost. To expound the Dharma with this body is foremost. Its virtue returns to the ocean of reality. Its virtue returns to the ocean of reality. It is unfathomable. We just accept it with respect and gratitude. Or not. Or not. So when I read this the other day, to expound the Dharma with this body is foremost. Is what I have experienced and hoped also to share when I'm speaking. So not so much Zenju's thinking, Zenju's talking, Zenju this, Zenju's right, whatever, but that somehow that my body is expounding foremost the Dharma, the teachings, or the cosmic law, if you want to say it, or nature. And when I first met the first three African American women of descent I met at a conference way back at Spirit Rock, and almost everyone in that room is now a teacher, which is interesting. So over the 20 years, it's been 20 years, at least 20 years. So I was listening to them talk, each one, there were three of them, they would get up and they would bow to their seat and then bow out, and I would watch them like, what are they doing? And then each one did it when it was time for them to speak. And then they would sit, and then they would breathe. And each one spoke. And afterwards, I really don't remember a word either one said. I have no idea, even today. I try to think about it. And they were the only Zen teachers or practitioners. They were senior practitioners at the time. And I said, they're doing something. What are they doing? And I said, whatever it is, I need that. They're doing something with their body. I said, there's something with the body they're doing. And I remembered it. And as soon as the retreat was over, quickly walked myself to the Berkeley Zen Center, drove to the Berkeley Zen Center, where I started practicing many, many years ago. I don't even remember years anymore. Can't believe how fast it's gone. But I remember that body, and that's when I read this, to expound the Dharma with this body is foremost. The first I thought about was them, and then my own body, of course, expounding the Dharma each moment, each year, and what does that look like, and what does that mean to expound the body, the Dharma in this body, and not to go to the meaning here, or not to decide what I should do to expound it, to make sure that it's right, make sure that the Dharma's right, to make sure that the teachings woo you, It has to come from this place. I learned early on that the teachings had to become, and I picked one or two teachings when I started, which I held on to for decades. I never just went into all the teachings. And my first teaching was what's prescribed on the Han, which is the wooden drum that you hear, boom, 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 outside. Don't waste time. Life is passing, don't waste time. And I would get nervous with that teaching at first. Very nervous, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to waste time. But I noticed after about 10 years practicing it, I wasn't nervous any longer. I began to just live it and not worry. And that to me was a transmission that came in my body as well, to not be so anxious about getting the Dharma and having the Dharma, expounding the Dharma, being the Dharma, being Buddhist. I always tell my students, and please, please don't be Buddhist. And they look at me like, please, please don't speak like a Buddhist. No Buddhist. Don't be Buddhistic. Just get your lunch and eat it. Enjoy it. And you will be successful. You will be successful no matter what. Because it doesn't matter where and when and how the body is expounding the Dharma. And I knew I was suffering when I came. I'm suffering now. I had questions about my life and why I suffered so much, for how I was born, how I was embodied, the way I look, everything was just suffering. And to discover all of that was the Dharma too, wow. All of that's the Dharma. All of it was the Dharma. And still is, but in different ways as you pass on. So to expound the Dharma with this body is foremost. And I just recently experienced my own body going down in some way and not being well. And I was alone in my house, and I had surgery. And in the beginning, I would cry and cry and cry because I was by myself. And then I would, and at points when the pain would hit, I would scream in the dark, in the night. And that too is the Dharma. That screaming, the aloneness, the darkness, all of it was Dharma of the body being expounded in the way that it was to be expounded at this time, and continues. The second part of this verse that I like, this quote, its virtue returns to the ocean of reality. That's the body. Its virtue returns to the ocean of reality. And it is unfathomable. And so I was just walking in the land, Green Gulch, and I tend to feel like I'm floating all the time because it's just so beautiful. And I was walking, and I was walking really fast, and I could tell as a voice, "Why are you walking so fast?" And my mind said, "I have to hurry up. I have so much to do." And I was, and in the moment, I don't know what it was, but I felt my body turn to dust. I don't know what that was. I saw it, I felt it, it scared me. And I stopped and lived in that dustness for a moment, that this is dust, you know. And it was this feeling of, oh well. I guess I'm not going to get done what I was going to do. It was that kind of feeling. But it wasn't painful, and it didn't hurt. And I just was scared for only a moment. And I did continue to walk, slowly, way slow. And then I entered my cabin and began to cry. About all the things I won't finish, because there will be some things. It's just never a way it's going to all be done, you know. But it was powerful. And that's how you embody the teachings, rather than, I could read a lot of things about dust and Zen to you, and they're beautiful, even my own poetry on dust. But to live it, letting the body be the foremost, and then the reality, you know, where it returns is unfathomable. In the last months, I've lost 6 people, so some of this is grief. I'm sure you might have had some of that yourself. I'm going to sit you down, Blanche. I think they got it. The last part of that statement was, we just accept it with respect and gratitude. this body, it's the reality, this unfathomable reality. We go there or we don't. I'm glad I wasn't sitting and thinking into death. It just kind of happened, to become dust. And I think the body, we patch it up a lot, we rely on it. This morning we relied on these bodies to walk us here, or even get out of bed, get dressed, do what we had to do. Think about all the things your hands did today already. I was being taught one by one person to love myself. And she said, let's just start with your hands. I want you to love everything your hands do. In a day, I was like exhausted, I said, okay, hands, I love you. I love you, hands. Okay, body, I love you and what you do for me. And I think the most important thing, though, about the body is the breath. Because while you can get, your knee goes out, you get a new knee. You can even get surgery on your eyes if you have cataracts. Or, maybe there's several of us in here who had lost something of our bodies. And then we work on getting it back. And so we rely on it, the body. But I believe that the most important thing we rely on is the breath. We want to rely on our teachers. We want to rely on Zen. Does it work? We want to rely on all the things that we do, all the medicine transmissions in our basket. But ultimately, we rely on the breath. We rely that we're going to be breathing. We're relying on the breath right now. I'm relying on it. No breath, end of Dharma talk. No breath, end of listening. Now, someone always told me, but you don't know what happens, and I don't, when all that is gone. I love this, I love poetry. That's part of what got me interested in Zen, was all the poetry that was being expounded, at least at the time I entered. I trained at City Center, and I tell a lot of people I've been in the Zen Center for 25 years. A lot of people don't realize they never really, saw me there. And I was pretty quiet anyway, until Shuso, when they make you talk. And I wasn't a talker at that time. So I became one, and now I'm going to have to go back and become silent. So I became a talker. But poetry, this is something I read recently by Kabir, 15th century, East Indian, a poet. And he said, I love this, I am neither Brahman, I am neither Dharma or karma. It is the breath that I am, that I rely on, that he's saying that he has faith in, not to be a Brahmin, for me not to be a priest, a Zen priest. I don't know if I'm a teacher yet. I tell my students, you have to tell me if I'm a teacher. I don't know. And you may learn something, and then you don't, and then you do. So that's not, it's a iffy thing. But priest, I did it. I took the vows. And no matter what I'm doing, even if I'm strolling along in the streets, I'm that. I'm here, not out there, I don't go off and say, I'm a Zen priest, which would cause more trouble anyway, because they don't even know what I'm talking about, most people. Like, I don't know what that is. I am neither Brahmin, I am neither Dharma or karma. It is through the body, through the breath, that Dharma is revealed. And he is saying that he has faith in the breath, and he relies on the breath. And this can be helpful when you get disappointed with practices and teachers and sanghas and food, everything, anything that's disappointing, that just you struggle with, we struggle with as humans. And so my desire was to be a no-rank monk. And that means you don't really have any titles or anything, you know. You just absorb, you meet the teachings. And you go, oh, and some of you go, no, I'm not doing that. I did that in the beginning. I'm not doing that one. I don't like that teaching. And then you spend a lot of time learning that one teaching. I'm just encouraging to do that. To allow that teaching to become a beloved. And tell that teaching as you, as a beloved. It's your body, in your body. And don't look for someone to find it in you as well. You know, can they tell I have been practicing for, you know. No. A friend of mine said, you certainly have a lot of anxiety. And I said, oh my God, that's exactly why I'm practicing. For 100 years. For 100 years, I will. For 100 years. And I always ask people, do you want to come along with me? You know, people, I want you to be my teacher. Do you want to come along with me and walk 300 million miles for 300 million years? Because that's where I'm going. Come on, let's go. And I can stop and point, oh, I've seen that before. Let me tell you about that, how I experienced that. Let's see how you experience that in your body. If I say right now, be still. Be still. What really happens in your mind? Be still like what? Wasn't I already still? Can I be still while I'm walking? Can I be still while I'm working? Can I be still while I'm sleeping? Can I be still? Or be still, uh-oh. Uh-oh, be still. Watch that one too. Uh-oh, Mom said be still. I was practicing at the Color of Compassion, the first one at Thich Nhat Hanh in San Diego in Escondido, Deer Park. Is it called Deer Park? I practiced a long time. Deer Park, and every time they have a pause bell. So we're all new. Most people are new to Thich Nhat Hanh. So the bell rings anytime. You could be just on your way somewhere, and the bell will ring. So I noticed people struggling, you know, because I kind of already been practicing for, by then, maybe 30 years or something. I'm old, okay? So first of all, just in case you don't know, I'm an old lady. But people would go, the bell would ring and everybody would be walking and they would go, when the bell would ring. You know, or they would be eating that. And I had a great joy in that, watching people. But it was mainly just really slow down and stop your thoughts. To stop how you're engaging something in the moment, how you're engaging it. You know, rice. How many, how you're engaging, how hungry are you? I need cookies. I had that problem with that, I say, I need cookies. That's what I was trained at at City Center. We have cookies every Saturday, and I lived for them. They were delicious. So just watching the body and how the body takes in things, and when we be still or when we're silent, being still, that we are actually just going to that place we already are. You are already that. You are already it. We are innately still. We are innately quiet. Everything else we develop and create. And like I said, I didn't really used to talk at all. People wouldn't even invite me anywhere, have any friends. I just really didn't have the energy to engage. So with this talk, I'm inviting us in this world right now, in this moment, to know that you are bringing, and we're born with, everything. You've heard that before, but you are still, you are innately still, you are innately quiet, silent. Even if you're speaking, can you speak from the silence? Difficult, rather than just speak. So you notice how long it takes me to get to the seat. So I've been back there in the hallway, then I walk up with Melina, we walk in, and then, there's an audience back there too that watches you do all of that. Bowing with the cloth, and so by the time you get here, I was saying to the Eno, boy, you're sure tired by then. It's like, you can't just take the Dharma seat. You have to bring your body with you. Big deal when the body's traumatized, continue to be fearful, struggling with the worlds we live in. Allow that to be the Dharma as well. The body expounding the Dharma. And to take the time to pause and mourn. We don't mourn as a country. We just keep going. And we've had a lot ever since 2020. And more before then. So, how can we walk in this world and be human beings? And I don't mean, how can we be kind and loving? Because actually, you already are. It's how can you find that in you? People work at it. I'm working at being loving and kind because I'm so angry. And that's okay. You don't have to work at being kind and loving. You don't have to work at anything the Buddha taught. He only was reminding us what he found in his body on his quest. That all the teachings came from his body, out in the woods, sitting on trees, sleeping. He was a lucid dreamer. He got it all. And he shared it. He wanted to share it. We have that too. There is not only one awakened one. We are all the awakened ones. Might not feel like it. Or how could that be with all that's going on? Oh no, I don't think so. I don't think so. Then what is going on? Not here, what is going on. Use your body. Breath that you rely on. Precious. So precious that it brought you here. So precious that it brought me here to see you, to meet you this morning. I would like to take the time now. I'm going to bow here for a minute. Let's bow on those words. And, we have a Zen saying, you can wash your ears out. Take what is a gift and leave what isn't. Might be a gift for somebody else. And so we're going to have Q&A for a while. And let's see what comes up. I'm sorry I have no answers. But I love to respond. I do. I love it. One of my aunts said that too. She said, you have to speak, every time something happens, you have to say something. Why is that? So I've had it all along. I had to say something about it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Your talk was delightful. And I heard a lot of Tetnahan in you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was really sick in 2018. And if I weren't waking up at 4:30 and getting into my body and my breath to start the day so I can be in it, because I was really suffering. But just beautiful to go into your body. I still do it to this day. Whenever I'm upset, I just go, come on, get back, come home, come home, come home.
Yes.
Yeah, so thank you for
Thank
reminding
you for sharing that. Thank you.
Please do.
Thank you, Zenju. Thank you for your words. Any encouraging words on how to relax with uncertainty?
I think the battery needs to be changed. When I first started practicing my life, as probably all of you have had so much struggle and in our lives, and I really wanted to chant my way into nirvana because I was chanting at the time. And I noticed how much more struggle I had. I began to struggle even with chanting, with the practice, with the people, everything became very irritating to me, And, and I realized, after several, moments with teachers, that it's okay. It's okay. There is a time when we're not calm or relaxed. There is a time when we're not. And that may be what should be, to not fight what is happening in the moment, in the body, and to watch it. Like if I'm angry or irritated, I watch it, and I get upset with myself sometimes because it's so intense. It just takes so much energy. But when I realize that what is going on is what I'm thinking, and I'm a great thinker, okay, I got 5 books, okay, so I like to think. It's okay to think, Dogen said. Okay, I'll talk about that another time. Thinking's not bad. Everybody kind of think it is. Thinking's bad, not bad. So when you're thinking of something, you will realize that you're not relaxing, you're not struggling, because something is going through your mind. That is a memory, it could be something you're anticipating, something that's happening now. And that story is going on. Would you hold that? Okay. Okay, good. This is like the world. So when things happen in front of you in the world, sometimes when it gets really like moving, then I don't really know Aikido, but I always say, oh, I'll just do some Aikido. That's what I was doing. Because so you just kind of, and that can be helpful too. That's very relaxing to make things just kind of out here for a moment, rather than so consumed in your heart and your body. To kind of put it out here just for a moment and just witness, even if it's oneself, and breathe. And I always, somehow always hear this voice that says, there's another story about what you're thinking. It's not just yours, and not this one story in this one moment, what you believe, what you assume that is going on. And so this is why we are to err on silence and stillness, because the mind is whipping it up greatly. Ooh. A lot of whipped cream. That's what I get. I like whipped cream, but I can't eat it. But usually, a lot of whipped cream. So it's the mind is doing what it does. And our breath is what we can rely on. When we breathe, I see and feel in alignment with my body. It brings me right back, because it's the breath, the body and breath together. So sometimes I have to do it physically because it's so bad. I was doing it one day and someone said, "What are you doing?" And I go, it's a Zenju thing, not a Zen thing. And it's not something I learned, but it just reminds me that the breath here is what's in charge. And it slows even the story down, even if I come back to it, because I might, in the middle of the night, go, and yes, why? It come back. It might come back. But this practice, for me, that's why I'm grateful in these times. There's so much distraction and chaos. And someone asked me, I said, wishing peace of mind, and they were upset at me about saying that. Like, peace of mind, my brothers and sisters are being deported, And so I had to say what my experience of peace of mind is, to not go into the chaos and the distraction. So that I am here, body, breath, so I can see what I am to do, what I will do, even if I pray, what my prayer is, even if I meditate, what that is. And I've called all of my friends who, they want to have that talk, and I said, I can't go there with you today about different things in the world. And I'm there, I'm helping people. I am helping quite a few people who are, their lives are threatened. And in my own way, it's been really scary. Then I might not see them one day. So I still am keeping myself on a distraction so that I can see in the moment what I need to do. For me, what I can do for them. And I'm amazed at what comes up, even for myself. I'm like, oh. Because if you don't have space for what comes up, out, and through us in our awakened state, if you don't have space for the awakened state, you won't see anything but what's here. I know this by experience. I'm sharing you my experience, not what I think. You know. That helpful?
Thank you very much.
Thank you for asking. It's one of my favorite questions. I love it.
Thank you. My question is, what is your approach to when we have greed, especially around foods that we can't have, or things that we can't do?
See if it's needed. You know, I think we live with so much, abundance in some ways. That's not abundance in the broad sense, because I'm only thinking of things, but abundance that I cannot even go to some stores. There's just too much for me. Too many toothpaste and a lot of people, a person asked me, how do I renounce and renunciate? And renounce the things that, keeping from bringing up, I want to renounce, so I'm not going to, they got rid of everything, even things they needed. So you have to be careful. And you can start with your thoughts. As what Shunbo Zenke taught me is renunciation is your thoughts, what you're thinking about your need, why you need so much, why you need more, and why you need it now. And do you really need it? I was thinking just recently about a light I need by my bed, because at dark, it's dark and I can't see in the dark, and sometimes I need things and I need to reach for them without getting up to go turn the light on and all that. So I need a light right here. And so I was looking at the lights. There's different kinds of lamps. I can get this touch sensor, this, it's just going on. And then it's like, how about your flashlight? When I just kind of let go, trying to get that lamp, I got the lamp and I had to take it back because I just. What is it that you need? And seeing that we live in a collective realm, and how much we take in affects how much we don't seem to have gotten that yet with the wealth in this country, that others need it. I turned down $5 million once. I've turned down a lot of big money. People have offered me millions in my life. I don't know, I got twinkle, I don't know. But I always turn it down. One person said, I got a surplus of $5 million. I like to invest in you and invest in, I had the Oracle at that time, to invest in your Oracle. And I said, no, And I said, but what would be great if we took that $5 million and I wouldn't mind starting a foundation to help people who may need health care, or they were not interested in that. They're only interested in the twinkly, shiny thing, my Oracle. And I didn't accept the money. And the person introduced me to the person was really upset. And I continue to be poor. But it's something, but it's a long story about accepting. I know a lot of wealthy people. I used to work in philanthropy as well. And so I know I met the Pillsbury children. That's how many people, the Disney daughter. I know these people, I met them in my work. And I never received the gifts because I want to see something else, that there's no surplus. I want to see that you do not have a surplus. You have enough for your children and your family, but not a surplus. of 5 million. And so that's our work, and mine too. You don't have to be that kind of wealth to have that same mentality. I do donate a lot. And I don't have a job. I don't have retirement. I donate hundreds and hundreds of dollars. What's given to me, I pass it on. Okay, one more, I guess. I don't know where we're at. Yeah.
Thank you for being here with us today.
Well, we'll do 2 more. 1, 2, okay. 1. I'll try to be fast.
I'll try to be fast too. Thank you for being here with us today and just bringing your whole self to this. And my question, you've touched on it, maybe not directly addressed it, but how do you keep hope alive in hopeless times and not fall into despair?
Thank you for that one. Very quickly, I have a book. It's called Opening the Darkness. And it talks about these times especially, and these times have always been. They're just more here. Maybe we're here, now they're here, and for some of us, maybe it's there. However, it's important to not spend so much energy trying to push away and hoping. But again, to breathe and be still and see what it is that we need to do. I need your brilliance. We need your brilliance. And to step and be in there, even though it's difficult and scary and fearful. I need your brilliance. And I called a healer friend of mine because she was having the same feelings. I said, I need you on the front line with me. And you can't be over there. We all need each other to get through this. And it's a great time to do it. Not each other, when it feels good, but when it feels so bad, so hard, so difficult. And the more difficult it feels, the more we must be. And it tenderizes us so that we're loving, more attentive to each other as human beings. Even if it's a human being we are not necessarily wanting to be that way with. And I'm not saying go out and love the enemy, which is one of the things that is okay. That verse is about actually looking at and changing your perception of enemy, not going out and getting hurt, by somebody trying to hurt you, a perpetrator or something. So the same in the practice of Buddhism and the Dharma. Use your body, in your life, which is your life. It just sounds like an object. Your life is an object when you just keep it on the body level. To see it, know it, the fear, and then to keep moving until the light of the darkness comes through. So some people, I've been teaching my darkness book for quite a long time right now. And so I always ask, who in here is looking for light? Raise your hand. Okay? Thank you for being honest. Because it's already here, you can stop looking. It's right here. Can't you see what's happening? It's right here. It never went anywhere. There is no light out there. It doesn't feel better, look better. It is now. We are seeing, we are awake to what is now. And it's trying to wake us up. It's going to get, it's going to really shake us. I hope we're all together when it really starts rolling. But, I just invite you to, find things in your life that feed, you need something to feed you. You're exhausted. That's why it gets, I feel that way too. I feel hopeless when I'm exhausted. When I've been doing too much and then I just, collapse into that. And that's just being human. That's okay. To be exhausted and frustrated. One more.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your talk and for everybody here. My question is about using breath, being equanimous, being on the journey. But how do you balance that when you're surrounded
When you're what?
when you're surrounded by ambition, by people who want different things, and your family, friends?
Exactly, yes.
And yeah, it's sometimes difficult to be joyous when you know that that greed and ambition don't get you
Yes,
anything.
yes. There's a lot of things that come in the beginning of my practice. You know, as I practice more and more, it seems like my family was getting worse and worse, but they were already that way. I just wasn't awake to some things, you know, it's like, oh. Or I wasn't even awake to how I felt. Like, oh, this could be a problem with the way I feel about certain things. And I allowed it to, plus they weren't, you know, they didn't know what I was doing, you know, Buddhism, excuse me. And then to get ordained and, oh, that was, you know. We're not following you over there because my sisters like to do what I do. It all kind of stopped. But I really feel that when I am looking out at others and, you know, they don't think the way I think, act the way I want them to act. I want them to act. They don't say the things I need them to say, and I'm like, well, are you my people or not, you know? And I realized that the judgment that I hold keeps me separate from people, you know, from them. And I used to really like, I would never in my life do a Dharma talk because people, you know, that's how I was, you know, and I will always want to be alone. Oh, I'm a hermit. I'm a hermit. I tell people I'm a hermit, you know, because it's hard for me, you know, especially if you're sensitive, extra sensitive to things. And so you have to remember where you once were when you didn't know or when you didn't have access to your awakened self. Because obviously you have access to something that they don't. But the more you, or maybe they do, and you see it differently, then their awakening looks different than your awakening. And so I think it's important when I say we are the awakened ones is a way of looking and being with each other in a more liberatory and more cosmic interrelationship than that we are together kind of thing. But it takes time. I think that's what what's being called for now. We've done a lot of work on the ground. And now is the time for us to get to that place of the divine. I'm going to use the divine. Oh my, she said divine in Zen. Divine, to be with it, that other place that we know. That doesn't mean you leave the ground. It just means that you're aware of it. And so just remember when, you know, people struggle, it's you move somewhere yourself, you know. And I've seen it happen. I felt it myself, you know. Thank you. Okay. This has been lovely. Thank you. With the true Buddha's way, inside I vow to save them. Illusions are inexhaustible.